everybody. I'm Vicki Saylor from Common Sense Media. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our parent webinar titled Online Safety Parenting Tips for Kids and Teens. I am so happy to have with us our dynamic speakers today. First, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Vicki Saylor again, and I'm Senior Manager of Education and Community Partnerships at Common Sense Media. I have the privilege of providing outreach to parents, educators, and community members to ensure we're all working together to empower families and kids to succeed and thrive when using media and technology. I would love for our guests to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Ryan Clark. Ryan is VP of Research and Strategy for Girls Who Code, an international nonprofit organization working to close the gender gap in technology. Ryan is also helping lead the Cyber Education Alliance, powered by Craig Newmark Philanthropies, a group of 21 organizations, including Girls Who Code and Common Sense, that provide resources designed to increase cybersecurity awareness and knowledge in K-12 schools and offer bilingual resources to families. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Vicki. I'm so happy to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity to help families understand more about how to stay safe online. It's so important to provide young people with the tools they need to navigate the online world safely. And I'm a mom of 3, so I understand this on a personal level. Research from fellow Alliance member Code.org shows that students lack a fundamental understanding of cybersecurity. In fact, 1.7 million children in the US experienced a data breach in 2022, which is really a stunning number.
Wow, it is so amazing. We are so excited to learn more about that. We are going to introduce all of our guests, and then we're going to start with questions. Does that sound okay?
Great.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, next is Danielle Wilson-Sadler. She's our instructional specialist from community schools for the Montgomery County Public Schools, where she works to engage families to increase student success. Hi, and welcome, Danielle.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. It's just a wonderful opportunity to be able to serve and support our families in ways that we can provide tips to them, because they're always inquiring about, online etiquette in terms of their students, and then just to wanting to know, how do I keep my child safe from all of this? So I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. And last but not least, our very own, drum roll, Jamie Nunez, Western Regional Manager for Common Sense Education, where he works with school districts to educate teachers on guiding students in digital citizenship using our award-winning K-12 digital citizenship curriculum. Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Vicki. How are you? I'm looking forward to having a really honest conversation with parents that are logged on.
Yeah, it's such an important topic, and we have a lot to cover. We're going to go as quickly as we can. I'm going to share just one little piece of research. Last year, Common Sense released a research report on the state of kids' privacy, where we took a deep dive into whether the most popular apps and platforms among kids and families disclose how they sell and share personal data. We found that 3/4 of the apps and platforms that claim they do not sell data are still monetizing kids and families' personal information in some ways. And once kids download an app or log in, they not only share their basic demographics, but they also open the door to continuous detailed tracking of their preferences and behaviors. And then that can also be shared with advertisers for profit. And so research also shows that most students don't know enough about cybersecurity, and this makes them vulnerable to online threats. And that's why we're so thrilled to have Ryan here, because she is our cybersecurity expert. And so I'd like to begin by just letting her answer a few questions for us. I think, coming to us with such expertise as a leading researcher in your field, what can you tell us about those top privacy concerns and safety risks that teens and kids face online? And then the second part of that question is, what can we do to help them navigate the online world safely and make smarter choices? I'm gonna let you take it away, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Vicki. So, as we know, our young people are digital natives. And as Vicki just talked about, they're using technology in their daily lives for all sorts of things and sharing their information online. Even students as young as elementary school are using technology to talk to teachers, do homework, and engage with their friends. So that's why it's so important that we teach them about digital literacy. We don't want to turn back the clock and make our kids less reliant on technology. We want to equip them with what they need to stay safe. So, for example, we can help them create strong passwords, teach them how to tell the difference between reality and AI generated content. We can also make them aware of how they share their own personal information and images online and help them use social media for what it was intended to do, to help them connect with their peers. So all of this to say is, these are the reasons why we started the Cyber Education Alliance, which Vicki mentioned earlier when she introduced me, with support from Craig Newmark Philanthropies. And together with all the organizations in the Alliance, there's 21 of us, we created the Get Cyber Smart campaign, which is a set of resources for people to learn more about cybersecurity and in particular, how to keep kids safe online and teach them how to keep themselves safe online. So we have a whole host of resources available at getcybersmart.org. So I'd really encourage you to check it out. We have tools for everyone, including students, teachers, and parents. Lots of tools for parents. And these are in all kinds of formats, including videos, games, crafts, events, and lesson plans. We feel really strongly that kids shouldn't be perceived as victims of the internet. We're at a place where they should feel empowered to benefit from technology in a safe way. And that's something that we're really trying to foster. So I'm really thrilled with the breadth of and the scope of resources that we gathered together with the Cyber Education Alliance that are available on getcybersmart.org. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I'm just going to touch on a couple of the resources that are available on our site, but really encourage you to kind of go in there and dig into everything that's there. So our friends at the Federal Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is more commonly known as CISA, shared a number of guidelines and tip sheets through their Secure Our World campaign, covering topics like password generation, phishing, scam detection, and more. And this is a really, really powerful and fundamental resource for staying safe online. And I really encourage you to check that one out. And CISA offers their content in Spanish as well to maximize accessibility. In addition, I think any parent or teacher would find value in Common Sense Media's Everything You Need to Teach Digital Citizenship lesson plan, which is also available on our site at cybersmart.org. It offers comprehensive guide for teachers looking to educate their students about digital literacy. But again, parents can also take the content from there and talk to their kids about it. And we have lots of crafts that parents can do at home with their young kids related to cyber safety.
Yeah, and I love that some of the resources are available in Spanish as well, which is really important. And so so one of the biggest risks is that our kids are not informed, right? They don't know enough about cybersecurity and their data is at risk, right? When their data is at risk, then their privacy is at risk, their personal information can be shared. So many more things just trickle down from that. And we know that protecting ourselves online is mostly in the hands of us, the users. Common Sense has had some recent wins with our advocacy team in New York and California, where we helped pass some legislation to protect kids online. And we're continuing to work hard, not only with Congress, but also through this alliance with Ryan to help protect kids and to hold these tech companies accountable, requiring them to change their privacy policies. Ryan, you highlighted so many very good points about making sure our kids learn more about the importance. Thank you so much for providing the education and resources through that alliance and through Girls Who Code. I love that organization because I know a lot of people don't know enough about coding. So we also know that it's important for young people to consider careers in cybersecurity. So we're going to share some links, if we haven't done so already, on where you can learn more information about Girls Who Code and getcybersmart.com, which is the campaign that Ryan was talking about. And so thank you so much, Ryan. I could speak to you for days and days about this, right? But you have given us a great foundation and a great starting point for something to think about, right? For parents to really think, wow, cybersecurity, I can learn more about it. And thank you for providing those resources. It's just fantastic. Thank you so much. Thinking about privacy, safety, sometimes we think about sharing data or topics like cyberbullying or oversharing. Danielle, research shows that most kids by the age of 10, or no, I'm sorry, not most, I'm sorry, half of kids, that would be scary. Half of kids by age 10 have a cell phone. That to me is scary enough, right? 50%, almost 50% of kids have a cell phone by the age of 10. What can you tell us about the types of risky behaviors or the dilemmas that you're seeing happen as a family engagement expert in schools? You work closely with families. So what kinds of things are they sharing online that can impact them now and into the future? And what can educators and families do to work together and help them make better choices?
Thank you. So, as you can imagine, as the largest school district in Maryland, we get the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of parents really wanting to know how to help their kids protect them online. And so, in terms of just the questions that they ask, one of the main questions is they ask about is oversharing. You know, we urge our parents and caregivers to monitor and stay on top of their children that are using social media and the internet. But kids sharing private information like their location, address, phone number, or where they hang out can basically leave them vulnerable to dangerous situations like being exposed to inappropriate content, just horrible contact from strangers and online predators. And it can also increase social issues like online drama and cyberbullying. So with that being said, what our kids post, what they watch, and the behaviors they participate in can be scrutinized but by others, which can impact their futures. And so, for example, in terms of that piece of oversharing, I've heard instances where students have lost a scholarship or were either fired from a job from just what they've shared, because of an undesired behavior or something that they've posted. So we encourage our parents to establish rules and consequences regarding online use to keep their children safe. We as educators and parents, in terms of tips, things that we can do, first and foremost, we can encourage our children to keep things private. I mean, we need to ask them not to share private information, including passwords, their home address, date of birth, location, and or revealing photos. We also need to ask them to communicate with care. They should use the right language for their audience, and they might write or speak differently to a teacher or compare. Just letting them know, look, you might write or speak differently. With respect to how you communicate to a friend or a teacher. Something that is also huge is that whole piece of respecting others to avoid drama. We want to treat others as we like to be treated on out of the offline, but also online. Because it could lead to drama for the student that then leads to depression, to anxiety. And I just want to say that my point is this. I'm sorry that I'm sharing the negatives, but it's just really all about keeping our children safe. And so that's why I'm focusing on the negatives nonetheless. But I want us also to report, the misbehavior, like telling our children to report misbehavior like cyberbullying and or unsafe online challenges, because yes, sometimes it can be fun, but yeah, it can be.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things parents can do, right, is to have those talks with their kids, those check-ins, notice their behavior, if they have any changes in behavior. When we talk about family engagement, a lot of times we miss those signs. So, kids a lot of times want to protect us, right? They don't want us to worry about them. But having those regular check-ins can go a long way, and being cognizant of the platforms they're using, of those online spaces where they're hanging out, the friends that they keep. And you made a really good point about teaching them how to communicate. A lot of times they don't have those skills. They're just used to texting. And so teaching them, even in text form, there are different ways to communicate to different audiences. And I think that's a really good point. Thank you so much, Danielle. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. We do a lot of work with MCPS, and we're really proud to be partners with you. So thank you so much, so much. Now I'm gonna move on to Jamie. Jamie, thank you so much for being here. You are a rock star when it comes to engaging teachers and students, but also families. You do a lot of family work too, and I didn't mention that. And you are amazing at what you do. We talk about oversharing information. Danielle was talking about that. Another strategy is using technology with your kids, right? Having those experiences with them to create that safer online experience. We know, I think we can all agree, right, that we want to keep our kids and teens safe. That's our number one priority. But with them on their devices all the time, how can we empower them to be critical thinkers? Somebody said we want them to be self-regulating. We want them to be on a path of independence. We're not always going to be there. So what can we do to help empower them to be critical thinkers as they continue to navigate these online spaces? And what can parents and educators do to make sure they have those tools? Because a lot of times we hear about these tools and like a new one is created and we don't know where to start. We don't know which ones to use. Everyone's telling us to use different things. And then by the time you know how to use that, something else comes up. So what can you tell us? Like, what would be your top recommendations for helping kids navigate this tricky digital world?
Well, thank you very much, Vicki. I really appreciate the kind words. So thank you for making my day. Brian, always a pleasure to understand and embrace the Girls Who Code concept. I love the work that you all are doing to ensure that our kids are safe and we're understanding sort of the threats that sort of face our kids. And I'm spot on with what you shared, which is there's a lot of things that are happening that parents sometimes just need to breathe. We all do, right? I mean, the messaging that comes at parents can be overwhelming. So I think the first thing as a parent is I encourage you to really think about how much pressure you put on your child, right? We know firsthand that if a child is putting out something negative online, it really is a part of their footprint. So we want to make sure that we reinforce not only those values that we have as parents, but we want to make sure that in many cases we provide those controls necessary to ensure our kids' safety. The second thing I might encourage you as a parent listening in today is to think about how you share skills with your child, those experiences online. How do you both model what those look like, whether you're watching a movie or whether you're actually signing up for something? How are you modeling those experiences with your child? I think it's really key and critical for you to share those experiences that you pointed out, making sure that you're creating those safe online experiences. Things like conversations that make you feel uncomfortable. What does that actually look like for you and your child? And I think if I can just name a few things that you can just do today is one is being able to set very clear expectations, what you want from your child around their own privacy use. How do you want them to be private online? Be mindful again that you want to teach them about what those online dangers look like, but you don't want to create such an alarmist sort of disposition that your child doesn't turn to you when they're facing some of those issues. As much as you can, you want to ensure that your child is keeping their accounts private. So limiting information and understanding when your child actually has to restrict or limiting access to certain information that's actually shared. And then I think the final thing is if you're not working closely with your child's teacher, I highly encourage you to share what digital citizenship looks like, what privacy looks like at the school level. And so I know Danielle sort of pointed out that we often teach digital citizenship in the classroom. If your child is not coming home having these conversations with you, you might want to have that communication with your child's teacher to say, these are important topics that we want to raise. So
right.
Lots to be shared. Yeah.
Right. And you made a good point about I know it's important to let them know about all the dangers out there, right? Tech can be really good too, right? And we want them to be on that path of self-regulation. We want to empower them. And we also want, like you said, Jamie, we want to keep those lines of communication open and not create a fear that they won't come to us because we're going to be their biggest allies. And the same way we parent for other things, we should use those same foundational skills to parent our kids, even with our family values online. So what works for one family might not work for another. And that's the tricky part with parental controls, right? One parental control might be measuring something that you're not really concerned about as a parent, but you're looking to measure or monitor something else. And then I think it's also important to use those openly with your kids and not create this culture of spying on your kids. Kids are really, they're techie, they'll know, they'll figure it out. They'll remove them, they'll change them. They have all these ways to hide things on their phone. So those regular check-ins are important. Wow, we have shared so many things, and I know we're almost out of time, and this was just a very high level overview of what we can do when we are thinking about cybersecurity, about privacy and safety, and how to keep our kids safe. It's not something that we're going to talk about today in a half hour and then be done with it. This is just something to get us thinking about it, keep top of mind, continuing to talk to your leaders. Jamie, you made a good point about digital citizenship in the schools. Danielle, you said that as well, talking about what is the school doing. Ryan, you talked about being able to find those resources and taking into consideration the communities you work with. So if you are an educator on this call or somebody who works in a community organization, really taking into account your audience. Ryan, you do magnificent work, especially through Girls Who Code, to reach those underrepresented groups. And I think that's really important when you talk about equity and just representation. And I think as we go into the future, we need to see more of our underrepresented groups in those careers. So thank you also for sharing that information with parents as well. Let's see what we've got next on the agenda. Okay, so I think that's it. We're going to thank our guests. I'd like to, for all of you, you can use the chat to help me in thanking them for providing their expert advice and insight. As I said, we know there's never enough time to talk about these important tech issues. But I'd also like to hear from all of you. What are some things that you're doing? What are some tools that you're using to monitor your kids, to help them in this digital world? Also, what are you going to do to help create a safer online community? You can answer some of these questions in the chat. Pick one, pick two, or answer them all. What are some things that you're currently doing? What are some tools you're using? Or what do you plan to do? What was your biggest takeaway from today? Is there something that you learned today that can help you move forward in this quest to keep our kids safe? I think we do have a little bit of time for maybe one question. In the meantime, we will also share a survey in the chat. It would take probably a minute of your time, but it would help us tremendously to get your feedback. So we would really appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see what our, there's the reflection. So you can answer that in the chat. You can also tell us if you're using any tools. And here's a question for us. It says, what are the tools that parents can use to monitor and manage how their children use their school issued and private devices? Who wants to take that? Jamie.
I will start. There are a number of tools that I would first look at what your child's device is at school in terms of what restrictions that they have. Many apps like Bark and Aura and other apps actually do an okay job of preventing things from happening. But again, the opportunity here is not only in just restricting, but having those conversations and being proactive about when your child is exposed to something online, what they should do when no one's watching, how they can actually be proactive on that. So in terms of answering that question, what I'd do is I would contact your school and ask them what restrictions that they have on your child's device, and then see if they have any recommendations for tools that you might have at home. We had Common Sense also review a number of parental control apps, and so I'll encourage our moderator to add some of those resources onto the chat for you as well.
Yeah, and you can find. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I also wanted to add that, just as we need to equip our students, our parents need to equip themselves. And so with that being said, we have a program called the Parent Academy to Go that provides parents with online resources. And we have the opportunity to actually partner with Common Sense And it has been a huge benefit in terms of just families learning and understanding, the whole online piece. So by all means, if your school offers programming and or otherwise, utilize it, get involved, get engaged, because we need you to do that for your students.
Thank you, Danielle. And Ryan, do you have any last words for our parents and caregivers out there?
Yeah, sure. I would just add, I mean, those are all fantastic recommendations. I would just add that there are different tools for iOS devices and Android devices. So if you're doing some research on some of the best sort of parental control options for monitoring your kids' screen time and activity on their phones, just be careful to, pick the ones that are best for the type of phone that you have in your house.
Yeah, and that it's so true. We all have different things, and again, different values systems and all that. So really taking into account the different factors involved with choosing the correct parental control. And again, using that openly with your children, I recommend. So there's the reflection question. We also put the survey link in the chat. So we would really appreciate that. We are out of time, unfortunately, but I want to thank our guests one more time for sharing their evening and their expertise with us. I'd also like to thank everybody from Common Sense who's on the call, helping run this webinar tonight. And a big thank you to all of you for making the time to be here. If you like this webinar, this is part of our new family and community engagement program at Common Sense. If you liked what you heard tonight, if you like the style of this webinar and you would like your school or organization to learn more about it, please share this information with them. We're happy to have schools and organizations sign up so that they can keep you as a parent and caregiver in the loop with the latest and greatest research and resources when it comes to digital citizenship. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a good night, and I hope to see you next time.